All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of the Broken Knock Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Chris DePerna. Alongside of me, we have Miss Megan DePerna. You always look like you're worried about what I'm going to say. Like
Sometimes I
something
am.
Stupid.
There's been some things that I'm like, oh man, thank God we can edit.
I've been trying to be nice. How you doing?
I'm doing great.
Good?
Yeah.
That's good. Enjoying the nice cold weather outside?
I'm adapting. I've been shoveling the driveway.
I wondered how long it was going to take you, being that you're that southern in California.
Last Friday,
blood.
I sat out for 2 hours.
2.5 hours.
And he packed up he was watching me in the yard. He was sitting in a camp
lawn
chair.
While you were hunting
Yeah.
in the backyard?
Because I just went down in the woods. And it was like 5 o'clock. And he's like, you ready to go in? And I was like, I'm not leaving until it gets dark because I know that's when a deer will come by and then I'll be mad. So I sat there 2 hours.
Did you?
Yeah.
Good for you. Saddle hunting?
No,
No,
I
on the
was just
ground.
like behind a bush.
Oh.
A couple bigger thorn bushes.
Yeah.
And she had some back cover on the hill.
And you're glassing from the living room window?
No, I know. I was out there with her.
He was beside the
Sat
shed.
in the lawn chair. I sat between the shed and my propane tank. So
That's hunting there.
There
Yeah.
you go.
He was glassing
Just
for
hide.
me.
Concealed.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, my.
The running joke, the reason he asks that is because with us going to Colorado next year, it's like you need to thicken your blood a little bit because we're going for
I'm
rifle.
a
So
baby about the cold.
It
So I was
can
like-
get cold,
That's yeah.
but it's fun.
Yeah.
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 Well, alongside of you, we have Mr. Ken Reese. Ken, how you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Got a hair blowing in front of my face.
That's nothing new.
Dog hair. Yeah. But I'm good.
The heat kicking up. Dog hair.
Yeah.
How's everything with the Tundra?
Good.
Good.
It's running well.
Nice.
Yeah. Needs a bath.
So does mine. Mine.
Bad.
I took my Tundra in for an oil change, left with a Tacoma.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he did.
Brand new Tacoma.
Yeah.
There you go.
I'm digging it so far. I just hit 20 miles per gallon today in that truck.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's hovering right at like 20.0. I'm like,
You
yes.
put the tires on it that you want to put on it.
Oh, speaking of which,
hovering at like 6.
Speaking of which, before we go any further, I'd like to know who it was. You had to have been the rat talking to your mother about like stuff that I was going to do with this
yeah,
truck.
it was me.
I knew it. I don't like ever
Sometimes
since you
we
were
have a father-daughter kind
like
of
ever
deal that
since you
happens
guys
at the
were
beginning.
kids,
It's part of
I
it. I get it.
figured it out. Like I don't know why I tell them anything because then later on I get hit with you're not putting a lift on that truck. I'm like I never said I was putting a lift on a truck. I said that
But
you
you
can
did.
do that. No, I didn't. Here's where there's a difference. You can actually lift that truck an inch and a half just by changing tire size.
You drive a Tacoma.
I
You
do.
have a Tacoma.
Yeah.
just
I
by
was gonna say.
just by changing tire
What tire
size.
Good
size did
vehicle.
you say you were going to put on them?
285/70. 285/70/17. Look it up on a 24.
That's not what you
Look at-
originally said. So.
I kn-
Anyways, let's.
But
no,
the point is why are you trying to get me in trouble? What did I do to you?
You
I'm
were-
nice to you, and you try to get me ratted out. And we'll talk about that later.
It seems like you get ganged up on.
Ah, dude, yeah.
Yeah.
Three,
Well, I was
three
gonna
daughters,
say, he has
three
three
daughters.
daughters.
It's constant. It's one or the other from one, or sometimes two at a time.
I'm probably the nicest to you though. So
Makes sense.
Saying a lot.
Makes sense. You just had to go buy a new truck.
Yes,
I get
exactly.
It. Yeah.
That's just so that I can hide from them, so they never know what I'm driving.
Yeah.
yeah, but as often as you change
Not
vehicles,
every-
we won't know.
About every 16 months, roughly.
Yep.
So, anyhow, we're going to move on. But
Yeah.
our guest we have with us today is one of those guys that if you're interested in any type of public land hunting, if you're interested in going out west, if you're interested in inflicting pain on yourself unnecessarily, this is the guy that you want to listen to.
Mental toughness too.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, there's
Oh, yeah.
I gotta give him credit because I was sitting there today, before this podcast, I'm sitting there at dinner with Amy, and I was just talking about some of his content, and I said to her, I says, and we'll get into it here, but I said, I'll tell you now, I said, some of the shit he did ain't happening. I'm not doing it. I don't want to kill an animal that bad. I just don't. I love hunting, but he did some awesome shit. It was pretty cool.
Well, thank you.
So with that said, Mr. Weston Homa.
Yeah. Glad to be here. Thanks for the kind intro.
Yeah,
And,
thanks for being with us, bud.
yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man.
Mm-hmm.
How's the ankle?
Yeah. So ankle, I think we're just about there.
Yeah.
Broke that ankle right around Thanksgiving. Running's like a big part of my life,
Mhm.
and it was the first like injury I've had. I mean, I've been starting to get down the marathon rabbit hole, running a lot the last 4 or 5 years. Really, this is like the first injury. So kind of posted up the last 6 weeks. It's been a test of my patience, I'd say. But
Yeah.
we're almost back, and I'm gonna have a big year with races and hunts and stuff like that. So we'll be good.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
what's the longest run technically you've done, like organized?
70 miles.
Jeez. See, my neighbor does that.
Yeah.
Carrie,
Yeah.
she's big into that stuff, but she does a lot of like she does marathons, but she like some of these runs she goes on are like through the woods, like
Well, that's what-
80-mile
yeah.
stuff. Probably the same things you're doing. Like
Yeah.
she every day I see her, like yesterday she's out there running down the road. I'm like, you have a vehicle, just take
Yeah.
that. You don't.
Yep.
But I mean, she loves it. I mean, that's her thing.
Yeah.
She goes to Florida every year and does races down there.
Mhm.
So
Was
Yeah.
that the Laurel Highlands one?
That was. So that's the race that starts. It's the whole trail. It starts in Ohio Powell and it goes all the way up to Johnstown. Just pretty much all single track out, just point to point. And yeah.
Because I remember when we met at TAC, you prepared. You did like a practice run.
It
Correct
was
me if
the-
I'm wrong.
Trail runs right up there
Yeah.
up at Seventh Spring. So I was like, well, I'm here. I got a little bit of time to kill in the morning. I'm going to go maybe bust out 10, 12 miles just to get some time on feet because that race was coming up in the next few weeks there. So, yeah.
How long did it take you to do that race?
So I finished in 15 hours, 16 minutes. There was a couple hundred people that started. That race is a pretty popular race for the East Coast. It's a Western States qualifier, so it brings a lot of people in, people that are like really into the sport. My time got me 18th or 19th, I think is where I ended up, and I don't know. I was pretty. I think I could have ran it better, but I was pretty happy placing that. So.
yeah,
Especially this is not something I grew up doing. This is
Yeah,
only
I
the
was
last
say that's
couple
got to be
years.
one of those ones you're just happy finishing. If you
Yeah.
just anybody like if you
Yeah.
do it and you can finish at. I mean, that's not an
Totally.
easy
Yeah.
task.
Yeah.
I don't remember what podcast it was I was listening to, but there were, and I wish I did, but there was a guy on there that was the guest that organized these types of runs. I think they were out of the Appalachian Mountains.
Okay.
And there were like checkpoints, and you had to carry packs and all that stuff, and you had to reach certain points by a certain time. They gave you so many hours to reach this, and if you didn't get there, then you were out of the race.
I think you're
You
talking about the
couldn't-
Barclays Marathon.
It could be.
Could have been. It's kind of like a wild race. It's not like on trail. It's kind of like you got to find these books, and it's like really exclusive to get into.
Oh.
Oh, that's
It's kind of like this weird popular thing in trail races, but now it's become like really popular, and a lot of people try to go and do that. But you got to like navigate yourself.
Yeah.
I really don't understand how it works, but I think it's interesting. But I think I have a hard enough time just going with
Yeah.
the trail and all the flagging in front of me. So
Uh-huh.
I'm just gonna stick with that. I think for now.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah,
One might
maybe
end up
we'll
with
see.
it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
That's cool.
yeah.
Huh. So, one I think we always start off with asking, how did you get started in the outdoors and hunting?
Yeah.
So we like to go back, kind of to start off the episode. So how'd you get started?
Okay. So yeah, just grew up hunting. I was fortunate enough. My dad had a couple acres for us to grow up on. So my brother and I grew up a lot of bow hunting and stuff. Just we had enough property where we could do that. So it's just a lot of hunting private like that.
Mhm.
And we would go. We get typical PA deer camp family. We'd go away for first day of buck. That was always fun. I don't think though for me, I really I always hunted. I always loved it, especially bow hunting. But switch really flipped when I started going out west. And I felt like, a hunt like that, I was a lot more like in control.
Mhm.
And I'm not, by no means am I against hunting private or anything,
Yeah.
but I didn't really pursue it much further than, we had a ladder stand out on the field edge across the way. And, the deer were there or they were not.
Mhm.
And I had a really bad fixed mindset when I was growing up in hindsight that I realized where I just kind of always, if a buck came through and I, wasn't ready, I would just say I'm just so unlucky, just a lot of bad self-talk. But then, realize that's that's all kind of excuses and that's all kind of horseshit. And
Right.
it's not a great way to live your life.
Yeah.
But no, I kind of started flipping that switch and just thinking about things in life a lot differently. And going out west was a big challenge for me. And I really fell for the mountain hunting up there or out there. And I love the mountains and the challenge. And then kind of after doing that is when I came back and I got a little bit more confidence to go just take my hunting back here a little bit more seriously. So now I just like to hunt my whitetails on public land here and just playing that chess match, the mobile hunting. Like I really love it. So
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's the key to the hunting now is, like for me, the older I've gotten, it's about the chess match.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of animals I've passed over the years just because I wanted something more out of it. It was never about the kill. I mean,
Right.
early on when I first got into hunting, I just thought that's what it was you just got and kill shit.
Yeah. Yep.
But that changed. And I think every hunter kind of evolves through that at some point, I believe. I mean, maybe not everyone, but I think a lot of your serious hunters will at some point in time. You always say, well, I just want to kill a buck. Or first it's I want to kill a deer, and then it's I want to kill a buck. And then once you kill one, then it's like, well, I would like to get a 6 point.
Right.
And I remember the year that I'd killed the last year I'd killed an 8-pointer, and the next year I come out, I'm like, dude, like the last 5 years in a row I've killed 8-pointers. Like I want to kill something bigger. That year I killed a 9-pointer. So,
Yeah.
but you kind of graduate to these levels, and then I think when you start playing the chess match, that's when it really becomes fun. And people might not realize that, but when you start to hunt one particular animal or at least a certain size of an animal, it just becomes a whole nother level of the game.
Yeah.
To me, it did anyhow.
To me, it's been really fun too, like getting out there in public and really learning deer behavior and finding sign. And like, I just felt like, if you're going to try to get on deer and get it done on Pennsylvania state game lands, get away from people,
Right.
you really got to fine tune what you're doing and
Yeah.
put in the work scouting. And it just kind of made me just drawn to it a lot more.
Right.
Because growing up, I watch the Outdoors Channel and everything, and not against any of it, but I just felt like a lot of those just massive bucks, sometimes over, if it was over a feeder or anything like that, I don't know. I just couldn't relate to it, and it just wasn't my thing, and it just didn't get me going.
It started
Yeah.
to get got monotonous watching
a
that
little
stuff.
bit, yeah.
It does.
And then that's all kind of how I thought hunting. That's all what it was, and then but really a big inspiration for me was like Steve Ranella, how mindful he is in his adventure hunts, and that's something that's why I'm drawn to a little bit what I do now. That's always
Yeah.
something that I felt like I wished I could have done. I'm like, that makes sense. And then starting to go out west, that kind of like I feel like I'm finally like doing that thing that inspired me from a young age. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a friend of ours, Larry McCoy. He's with Respect to Game TV. Larry, his first show that he had, Heartland Bow Hunter. If you ever had heard of that, but I mean it's been a while. But Heartland Bow Hunter to me was one of the first ones that ever started the cinematography to the hunts. It wasn't about just turning the camera on while you're sitting in a tree stand and shooting a 150-inch deer and then walking up on it and holding it and talking about it.
Right.
These guys got into that, like you did with your stuff that we're going to talk about, where you're showing the coffee pot. You're showing the tailgate close. Loading the equipment. To me, you have to build a story with these hunts. It makes a difference when you do that. It just draws people in, and regardless of the size of the animal, it then becomes fun because once you can close the whole chapter on that start to finish, regardless of the size of the animal, it's like, man, it's so rewarding.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people are naturally just drawn to like the hero's journey of where it's like somebody gets called to an adventure, they experience some sort of low or a challenge, and then they find a way to try to get through it, and then from there it's like, well, is he going to get the buck? Like, is he going to make it through the storm? Is he going to whatever? And then to overcome, that's like the hero's journey, and that's kind of like these are some things that I learned about when I knew I wanted to get into more storytelling. I felt a passion for it, and I wanted to learn more about it. So, and I think like there's a lot of stories you can kind of draw that linear path, and that's what I like anyway.
Yeah.
So everything you do now mainly is public land.
Yes. My neighbor had some turkeys running around. I'll go sit out there, but I'm not really a turkey guy. It's just something to keep me busy in the spring if I'm not out running or whatever. But no, my whitetail or everything else I take really seriously. elk, mule deer, everything out west, and then the whitetails. Yeah, all public. That's what I like.
Nice.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So the filming aspect of your hunts, like, so how long was it that you were just out, running around public lands and hunting before you realized I want to start sharing this with people?
I felt like I was always called to it for a long time. I do feel like what you see in my YouTube videos is truly me, and that kind of actually makes me feel really good
Yeah,
that it's out there
absolutely.
like
Yeah.
that. And I just felt like really what was holding me back was just me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like who am I to put something together or put myself out there? And it's kind of been the whole journey of just me working on myself the last few years, finally, like, doing all these kind of adventures I want to do, and just getting like tired of not living the dream I want to live, like, you know what I mean, a little
Right.
bit. So it's like, no, I'm taking this adventure, so to speak. I want to share these stories, and and because that's the thing, you can have like the craziest, most awesome hunt and experience, and then when you come back, like, I feel like a lot of times words just can't do it justice,
Right.
and I just get really excited about, okay, I'm going to try to put something together and try to, and the viewer watching, whether they hunt or not, just try to provide some sort of value that they can take from it. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Where did you start finding, or you may have started your running before the hunting? Where or how did you find that like connection?
So for me, I found, I started running just for the simple fact of getting in shape. For going out west. This was probably around like 2019, almost into 2020, because it was right before COVID. And then when COVID hit is kind of when I really started running a lot. And my dad and I had picked up elk tags for Colorado. So I'm like, okay, like, I see these guys running. I see Cam Haynes running around. he shoots elk. Like, okay, I'll start running a little bit. And did get in really good shape. And then couldn't run any races because of COVID for a couple years, and I just kept at it. But I had signed up for a half marathon, and I remember signing up for it and telling my buddy at work, like, dude, I'm gonna die. Like, I don't think I can do this. But he was like, dude, just walk. Like, walk it. Like, if you have to, you'll be fine. COVID hit, canceled all that. I just kept running for those 2 years, and then finally in 2022, I just signed up for a full marathon at that point, and then since then I've run maybe 4 marathons, 5 ultra marathons, and it's kind of an interesting experience. Like, so I put these big races on a pedestal, and like, they're really awesome. It's like what I wanted to do for a while. But it's not long after you kind of cross that finish line where then you kind of feel like, okay, what's next? Like, that dopamine like drops off. You know what I mean? You want that. It's really the chase is like what I found that I'm after. So I kept at it, and I've found, as I've done more and more, that I think I'm getting a lot more help for preparing for these hard hunts from these races, not just from the endurance, but also the mental aspect, because I think people get a little bit too tied up into gear, and just all these other little things, and gear is great. But I think a lot of it comes down to, like, if you want to start doing these hard adventure hunts, like, it really comes down to, like, can you endure long processes? Are you comfortable with being uncomfortable? And it just helps with that mental. So I now see that, they help me a lot in that regard. Yeah.
And I like with the hunts that you've put out, that you really do put a focus on the mindset, because it is so important. Like, when you said the serenity prayer and the elk hunt, I was like, okay, like,
Yeah.
I'm really big into like something that I can tell myself to keep going. We were watching the Aaron Rodgers Enigma documentary on Netflix, and he was talking about how they had Navy SEALs come out to the facility. One of the SEALs was like running them through a workout, and the SEAL was like, you need to recognize the difference between discomfort and pain. Like, you have control over discomfort, not
Right.
pain. And that's like, even with workout, like, we're getting back into working out a lot more because we're trying to get in shape again to go to Colorado, and just like doing that extra rep or doing the extra weight. I'm like, it's uncomfortable. It's not like I'm in pain and it hurts and I can't do this. Like, I'm recognizing that it's like uncomfortable, but I can do it and I need to do it. So I feel like mindset, especially like going out west, is going to be way more important than what backpack we have or what gear we have with us.
Absolutely.
Like,
Especially when you're doing what he's doing.
Yeah.
Because to go out west, like, fat old guy like me can go out west and hunt, but I'm going to go out with an outfitter who's figured it out, who's going to take me to the spot that I need to be at to have a chance at killing an animal. I'm not sleeping in a tent in the blistering ass cold with the snow for 10 days and saying, shit, everything's wet. Like, I didn't think about this. Like, what am I? Because I'm out. I'm going back to the truck. Just being honest.
Yeah.
The kind of stuff that you did, I don't think that, I think that lately I've seen, especially with having the archery shop, I've seen a lot of guys that want to get into that Western, that self-hunt, do-it-yourself type stuff. And I think that a lot of them might be prepared, but I think the majority probably are not as prepared for it as they need to be. And the one good thing about your content was you showed it wasn't focused on the kill at all.
No.
It was focused on the discomfort that you're going to go through in order to enjoy the hunt. Like, it was like, that's what I mean, like I said, when I was sitting at dinner earlier with my wife, the hunt, well, of course your bear hunt was the same way, but you put yourself in positions that up front that if you're successful, it's going to be extremely hard work to end that hunt.
Yes.
In other words, like with the elk hunt. I mean, 3 days and 20 some hours to pack out a couple bags of meat.
Yes.
Like, that's
I got to pat your back. on
listen,
that.
man.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, that's
at 12,000 feet.
yes.
Yeah.
So that is the type of shit that 99% of people are not prepared for, including myself. That's incredible to pull something up and videotape it.
Yeah.
Because that's another thing, I've learned from, having being part of a TV show before and that when you add in the aspect of taping what you're doing, you still have to put on that happy face even if shit's not so happy. You still got to give people content that makes them want to stay involved with what you're doing. And that's a hard thing to do. Added on to all the adversity that you
Right.
had going on. So that's pretty cool.
Thank you. Yeah, the hunt itself is hard to begin with, and I've learned running that camera is just another factor. But it's like anything, and this is what I found that's really helped for me is like just kind of keeping those promises you make to yourself and telling myself like I'm out there and like I chose to be out there. You know, when like if things get hard and you want to quit, like it's on you and like you chose to be there. So there's no point in complaining. There's no point in trying to play a victim. This is what I said we wanted to do. And then even like pulling that camera out when like I just want to, get in my tent or whatever. It's like, no, like you told yourself like we were going to try to tell a good story here. So that, and then just trying to keep those promises to yourself. I don't know. I found that a lot in life.
And fear when you were like just some of the B-roll, like you could tell obviously you went and set the camera down and you hiked up out of the, and like then you have to come back down and get the camera and then hike that again. And like
It
that's
is
all
true.
I could think about the whole time. I'm like, that
Yeah.
is a lot of extra work. Like
Yeah.
it's on top of just being out there generally, like to make sure that you're getting good shots and like doing things basically double just to be able to get it on camera.
Yeah, if you think of it this way, and I know it from filming before, both of your hunts were roughly a half hour.
Yes.
That two of the bear hunt I know was
The
shorter.
bear was,
but
the bear I don't even,
was kinda-
the other two I call film.
Right.
And then a lot of my other
Yeah,
videos
so
are going to
those-
be something like the bear hunt where.
Yeah, so those short
What it was.
films were roughly a half hour.
Yep.
You needed, and you probably still didn't have enough content that you wanted, but you needed 7 or 10 days, all day, of content to be able to put together a half-hour show.
Yeah.
100% is what you need, and I know that. I know from filming, whenever I killed my biggest buck, I spent all week before I killed it and after I killed it running that camera on everything I could run it on, walls, you name it. Like I was filming everything because you never know. And there's a lot of that shit you don't use, but you never know when you need a piece of it. So that's another thing is when you throw that into your hunt, especially the style that you're doing, I don't think people realize just the magnitude of self-discipline it takes to take a camera with you. It sounds cool. It sounds cool. Like, hey, I'm gonna film my hunts.
Right.
I can tell you how many times I've seen camera gear for sale online because guys thought it was going to be a cool thing until they get out there and then the animal's in front of them and they can't get the shot, so the camera gets pushed out of the way and they take the shot anyhow,
Right.
and then show you the afterthought.
Yeah.
And that's not building a storyline to me.
Yeah.
That's just not the way to do it.
I would just question how bad they wanted it.
Right.
Yeah, that's it.
100%.
Like
Yeah.
anything.
Absolutely, because
Yeah.
it's easy to just
Yeah,
take
right.
this whole load down off the mountain
Yeah.
into the truck. And
So that's like try to be the biggest thing I tell myself is like, keep the promises you make to yourself. If you wanted to film it. If you wanted to finish the 70-mile race, finish it. And yeah.
So when you got into the filming aspect of it, you decided, okay, I'm going to start filming my hunts.
Yep.
Where did you go for the? And I don't mean in the sense of where did you purchase the equipment, but what mindset did you have when you're like, okay, I need cameras?
Right.
What type of camera? So just say somebody's out there listening and they want to get into this. They want to sell film, and they got a budget. Where did you start? Like, what were you looking at that you felt you needed?
Luckily, just because I love doing a lot of these adventures, and even in the summer doing backpacking trips, I was kind of already in the photography rabbit hole a little bit. I even picked up a few books. Just
I was
how
gonna
to,
say you're a very good photographer.
yeah, you are.
Thank you,
Yeah.
thank you. I just look at like a lot of things. It's a skill. I don't think it's a natural. It's funny how I know nothing about videography, photography, and then somebody says, "Oh, you're a natural." It's like, dude, what do you mean? Like, I had to read the books, I had to watch all the YouTube, I had to do whatever. Like, I don't know. I think just looking at things as skills versus like, oh, he's just naturally whatever. I don't know, because I don't think I am. But anyway, I read the books, some podcasts I listened to. I'm a big fan of Aaron Snyder from Kafaru,
Yes.
and
Yep.
he's a big into the photography. So
That's Kafaru Cast was what I was listening to on that hunt I was telling you about through the
Okay.
Appalachians. So then maybe I'll figure out who it was, but I know it was Kafaru Cast. It was
Okay.
Aaron Snyder's podcast.
very cool. Yeah, big fan. He had a bunch of like content episodes on photography and things like that, and learned a lot from there. Just a ton of YouTube, and then I watched some hunt films on YouTube. I think maybe like a lot of hunters, but I really try to like pay attention and look at things. Like, have you seen those Go Hunt films? Like, those things are like a
They're
cinematic
great.
masterpiece.
Yep.
Yeah. But just watching a lot of that, and then what I did was I don't know. I'm just a big believer in like I have this vision of what I want to do. So every single day I'm gonna like give myself just a couple things to do. So it might be just like, and that's it. Like, don't have to go more crazy, but like just give yourself a list. So it might be like watch one YouTube video on audio equipment for filming. Watch or read a blog post on comparing two different cameras. So it was just a lot of that for a long time. And then my like setup though was the Sony RX100. It's a little point and shoot camera. It takes really good photos as well, and I think like probably 20 some megabytes too.
Oh, yeah,
And
that's good.
and it has the microphone jack, so I was able to run a Rogue Bluetooth receiver. Well, plug that into the camera, and then had a Bluetooth receiver on me with a lavalier mic that came up through. So that was kind of my setup, and then a lot of stuff. I just pulled my phone out and was taking selfie videos sideways, which I think meshed okay.
I think- I feel like
Yeah,
they
I
did.
don't think there was
know.
like a huge notice.
No.
But that was kind of my setup. Yeah.
Yeah, and these phones nowadays, we use them for our podcast still right now. It's amazing the quality
Yeah,
you can
with
get.
the
some of
quality you
them.
can get out of the new
Yeah.
ones.
Granted, you still, if you want a good photograph or some good video, you still have to go through,
Yeah, but for
Get
the
yourself a good video.
for the average person out there that wants to get into self filming
Mhm.
or even just with their buddy, you can do things with your phones, but like you were saying with the Sony camera you have, and
Yep.
that there's those options are out there. Now they got Sony. What did that run you about?
I think that was like $1,000. It's
Yeah.
a pretty nice little point and shoot. Canon makes another good one, the Canon G5X PowerShot Mark II or something like that. But I used to have that point and shoot, but it didn't have the mic jack, and I knew I wanted that for these hunts for the audio. So I traded that in and got the Sony, and then went from there. And then I run like a little GorillaPod tripod, set that up. I've actually found a nice way to because I was trying to think of a way to film myself in the tree. So I would have my what do you call it? Just carabiner rope above me, and then I was able to stick one of those legs and those flexible GorillaPod tripods in there, and then just angle the camera down.
Yeah.
That
Oh, that's smart.
worked good enough. I don't think I'm an expert in any of it, but it's just kind of like finding a way. And I'm like, oh, okay, this works. We'll just roll from
So
there.
fourth arrow, I don't know if they still have it or not. I was using, it was an extension rod. So what I would do is, it was just an expandable, like, I don't know, maybe an inch and a half rod that you can extend it out. And there was a bracket I would put overhead, and I'd put that in there, and that thing would be about 6 feet out in front of me with the camera facing down back at me, so that I could use that to get, like, if I'm drawing the bow, everything. And then I had another one that was mounted overhead. It was a 0-360.
Nice.
What I liked about this is most of your camera arms come out, mounted from the side. This one mounted overhead down in front of me, so you could spin that thing 360 degrees plus move it left or right, so no matter where you needed to get a shot, it was out of your way for tree stand hunting.
Yeah.
And the cool thing was, and I still have it here somewhere, I have a backpack frame for that, and it mounted into it. So if you wanted to stalk and walk around with this thing on, you could have that mounted with your camera, like that full-size Sony mounted to it.
Oh, jeez.
And walk around. And that was actually designed, the guy that did that designed that for like NASCAR races and that, for cameramen that had to be kind of like on the move, and that's what that was
cool.
for.
Yeah.
But it has pack straps and everything. You could use it, like, it got a little seat built into it, turkey hunt and everything. It's pretty cool.
I'm going to have to look to get something else then in the tree, because I can get that on me, and I need something else to come, like, for my visual out in front, because I kind of got lucky on my bear hunt. That bear kind of came right into frame out in front of me, so I kind of lucked out a little bit there.
Yeah, I saw that.
And it went
was
behind my
yeah.
head. I mean, people listening can go watch it, but I was like, oh, I did kind of luck out there. I didn't, like, know how that was going to go down, and I'm like, okay, well, I lucked out with this one. And then on the elk hunt, I did have a GoPro for my head, and there's a clip in there where I go on one stalk, and I just blew the stalk on this herd. But when I went to kill, I was stalking on another herd, and I was going through the thick timber, and the next thing I knew, there was a bunch of bugling down in this creek bottom right, like, below me. All these, like, it just opened up. Everybody was out. All these cows and calves were out feeding. Everybody's just hanging out, and I'm like, I can't. I can't put this pack down and open up a zipper. Like, I'm right here.
Yeah.
So that was all good. But yeah, I did have that GoPro for that hunt. Yeah.
You had to make a unique move.
Yeah.
With the smoke and everything. I know we want viewers to watch your video, but if we just did like a quick synopsis, or if you wanted to talk about that at all.
Oh yeah, okay. So here's what Weston's fall 2024 was supposed to be.
Okay,
so,
let's do it.
Yeah. So it was supposed to be go solo to Idaho and archery mule deer hunt. And then later on in October, I put in for a first rifle elk hunt, and my old man was going to come with me, and we didn't draw. So we were going to hunt over the counter, second season, that's end of October in Colorado, and rifle hunt then. Then there was a wild turn of events.
Yep.
So it was said. So I go to Idaho by myself. I pack in, and I already know there's a huge wildfire in the area, to where my unit was I was already pinched down to just one spot. And actually what I had to do was hike in from a different unit 6 miles before I crossed the line, before I could even start hunting, let alone then
right. So I think that's important for people to know, is you parked your truck and had to walk in 6 miles before you can even think about starting the hunt.
Hike, climb. Yeah.
It's not just walk.
Yeah, I guess for lack of better terms. But yes.
No, yeah. So that was, and that's the only option I had. Everything else was in this either on fire, or they had like a radius around it of like a closure zone. And it was getting worse as I'm driving out there. Like, yeah, so it was crazy. But I was like, I'm gonna do it. I don't care. So I get up in there, and I went up there to scout for a few days before the season started, and I wasn't getting on a lot of deer. I was a little nervous. But then this smoke from all the fires was just rolling in. The wind switched, and then it was a north wind, so it was all coming back down to me, and I was essentially just smoked out of there. But I still had the mindset of like, I'm just gonna hunt. Like, I'm here. What am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
So here's what I did. I was already then maybe 4 or 5 miles beyond the 6 mile mark scouting. I packed up all my stuff, went back to like the unit border line, dropped my gear because I knew I'd be coming back up the mountain. then went the 6 miles down to my truck. And then from there at my truck, I saw a sign that said, "This is all closed now." So I'm like, I have to leave Idaho. What am I going to do? But my tent and all my gear
So you got to walk 6
is
miles
up on the
just
mountain.
to grab your shit.
So I had to turn
to
around,
leave.
and it's 4 or 5 o'clock at this point. I had to then turn around, hike back up. I mean, this is 6 miles and also probably 2,000 feet up or 3,000 climbing. Get all my stuff. It's 10, 11 o'clock at night. It's kind of hard. Like the smoke's even getting to me. I'm
Yeah.
hiking like a like a
And
madman.
Climbing this elevation plus breathing in the smoke.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and you can tell like when I got down to my truck and I'm filming myself, my voice is like a little hoarse, and
Yeah.
that's because of
Right.
all the smoke. So I got up there and I was like, I don't know how long you can really stay in this smoke. I was already at 21 miles for the day. I even showed it on my phone.
Yeah.
Just from I was way far in, all the way back into the truck, and then back up. That was 20 miles. So I was like, I'm just sleeping up on this mountain. I feel more safe doing that than at this point trying to hike out in the dark, whatever. So I got up and all that smoke's in. I pack everything up and packed the 6 miles back down the truck. And that's when the season had started. Now, like it's hunting season's open and I can't hunt anywhere. Like my whole unit is closed. That tag's only good for non-resident mule deer tag in Idaho is only good for that unit. It's not like elk. Elk, you have like an elk zone in Idaho. So I was panicking.
Yeah,
Like,
most people then,
Yeah.
the hunt's over. They're driving home.
So here's an interesting story I wanted to tell too with all of it, and not to spoil the YouTube video if people want to go watch it. But
I definitely highly
It's worth the
recommend
watch.
doing
Yeah.
it.
yes,
Absolutely.
yes. So
Yeah.
it was
It's good.
It
It's
was
great
wild.
content.
Yeah.
I ended up, and it's a lot of like the personal growth stuff I'm infatuated with. So here's what's really interesting. Like I left Idaho and I kept seeking like to still do something. And I'm going to Colorado. People can watch and see how that plays out. I ended up getting lucky, so to speak. Funny story. So I ended up leaving Colorado after these 2 weeks of just like the most unbelievable experience. I stopped through Denver. I have a cousin that lives out there. She doesn't hunt. I was just wanted to stop and say hi, grab some lunch, whatever. I told her everything at like a high level, like what happened. And she said, "Oh, you really lucked out." And I was like, "Yeah." But then we sat down and started talking and having lunch. And I told her like really in depth the whole story. And she was like, "This is like unbelievable and everything." And I said, I noticed something like when I got here, you had said you lucked out. But I think the old version of me, and maybe even most people, when that fire rolled in and all the smoke and everything, they probably just would have said, "How unlucky am I?"
Yeah.
And went home. And on top of that, you go home and you tell that story. Yeah, wildfires smoked me out of my Idaho deer unit. People like how unlucky. People would probably then affirm, yeah,
Oh yeah, they'd be like,
you
"Oh,
are,
that
dude.
sucks."
Like you are unlucky.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
sucks.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then you would, that would be on your mind the rest of the year
Yeah.
or whatever. Like I'm unlucky, like just whatever. So it was interesting that like, I don't know. It was almost an experience of like kind of a whole personal development journey as a whole that I'm on as somebody who was like an unlucky. I called myself unlucky. I said at the beginning of the podcast, kind of like an unlucky hunter growing up. But this hunt has been like kind of an essence of like, just trying to develop a better mindset.
Right.
And now I'm lucky.
Yeah,
My cousin called me lucky, and I'm like, no. So I think like the moral is like you got it, dude. You got to make your own luck.
You
man.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a few years older than you guys. So you might not know this saying, but when I was younger, I remember people saying you can't make chicken soup out of chicken shit, and you managed to do that. I'll give you that.
Yeah. Thank you.
You figured that out.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I like that.
Well, I even remember like seeing on social media when you were out there, like kind of following that like the fires were happening and like everything was happening to you. I'm like, "Oh, that sucks for Weston."
Yeah, we're like messengers. Did you see this? Oh.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we were like bummed out for you and had that
Yeah.
negative mindset, and you're just like killing it out there.
It was so fun. And then like all on top of it, it's like this is also something that I was like, yeah, I'm gonna film this. This is my first time I'm ever
Yeah.
gonna film. So I'm literally like, there's a YouTube video and like, yeah, happy endings, like whatever. But like in life, like I don't know what's gonna happen. Like I'm talking to that camera back at my truck, packed off the mountain, and I'm just like, I don't know what the hell I'm gonna do. And like I knew I couldn't go home. It was like killing me. But like I was panicking like the whole time, and I was just like, I'm just gonna keep filming this because
Mhm.
I'm gonna write the story that I want to tell.
Yeah.
100%.
And you did that. I
Yeah.
will say, I mean,
You absolutely did.
watching that stuff, anybody that hasn't seen your hunts needs to go watch them.
Thank you.
There's a storyline. It is a small TV show. Like, I mean, it's pretty cool. Like you have to, you want to, like, for me, I wanted to continue to watch the whole thing through. There's stuff I go out on the internet, YouTube, and I'll start watching it, and yeah, I'm done. I'm moving on. But with your content, the way you had done everything, you made me want to see what was coming next with the way
Thank
you
you.
do stuff.
Well, even
Yeah.
and we've known because on social media we know the ending,
Right.
but we're like
But we're
hooked
still-
watching
yeah.
it. Like
you.
the whole time, it's like I know how this is going to end, but that you're still sitting on the edge of your seat. Like you did a fantastic job putting it together.
Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, you absolutely did.
Yeah, and I would tell anybody that does go out and watch it, if you're somebody that wants to get into filming, go out, and they need to see, especially if you want to get into filming out west or just even going out west. I think a lot of people need to see what could potentially happen. Things that you had gone through. Even take the wildfire out of it.
Right.
Just the other content, the other things that you've got to deal with, the decisions you've got to make. And that leads me into the next thing is, gear. Like, when you decided, all right, I'm headed out west, where did you sit down and say, all right, here's what I need to take with me? Because I'm sure that you probably thought about it after and went there, and there was some stuff you probably thought you wished you had, and there's probably shit you took that you're like, I really did not need to bring this.
And it's always fun looking back, like in hindsight, of what you thought you need and like just the overall growth you develop as, from just hunting out there over the years. But yeah, so I was going with my dad when I first started going. My dad had gone for a few years prior, didn't have much luck. He was just going with like other guys. But he had a good idea of gear a little bit. But he knows if he tells me to do something, like, I'm not going to do it. So, like, no. But he was like, no, check out these podcasts. That's when I first kind of found Kafaru Cast and some of those podcasts like that. And, dude, I was just like, this is, like, just seems like my jam. Like, backpacking in, living out, like, in a tent. And, like, again, like growing up, being in that ladder stand, like, in that field edge, I felt like I couldn't do anything.
You're getting held
Which,
back.
Now I realize deer hunting's far more than that. But
Right.
My self at the time was just like, I felt like I couldn't make something happen. But like out there, like, you're on the move. I felt like, you could be in more control. So I'm just like eating up as much content as I could with podcasts and YouTube, and like it's all out there, man. Like if you really want to commit yourself to something, especially in today's world with the phones. It's so easy to learn anything.
Anything you want.
Anything you want from people that
Absolutely.
are really freaking good at it.
Yeah.
Not just like your drunk Uncle Dave who's trying to tell you how to have a six-pack, and it's like, well, wait, yeah, why don't I go? You can go learn from the people who compete in bodybuilding. Like they'll tell you exactly what.
You
to
know
do.
what's interesting
Yeah.
about that is, on a side note. So today I went out and I bought a snowblower, and before I did this, I spent a week watching different YouTube videos on snowblowers. I shit you not, I did. Because I wanted to see what the people have to say about this. And what's funny is you take the average guy that just picked his phone up and decided, I have a snowblower, so I'm just going to show people how this works.
Yeah.
And then you look, and it was like 5,000 people viewed it.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I know.
To think
Yeah.
that I don't even know the guy.
Yeah.
He's probably 10 states away from me, but I was able to go out there and find the content that I needed to help me make the decision to say, this is the one I want to buy.
Yeah. It's so cool. I think social media can be a really good tool if you use it.
Correct.
Probably.
Right, like that.
Absolutely.
Like how awesome. So, even with hunting, like you can even message the people and bullshit
yeah.
and like
Yeah.
whatever. Anyway, yeah. So gear, dove all into that rabbit hole, and I will tell anybody listening, if you're trying to go out west, outside of a few pieces of gear, and I'll touch on those, you don't need all the high-end stuff that you think you might have to, or what the people on Instagram are telling you with every single piece of Sitka gear. Sitka gear is great. Like there's some pieces that I love, but I don't think you need every single piece. And if that, you're saving up that $1,000 to get the extra jacket, the extra like whatever, when you probably have stuff that would probably work, I would tell anybody, go on the hunt. Spend the $1,000 for the tag, the trip, and go. Because, I think there's a lot of stuff you don't need, and don't let that hold you back from going and actually getting the experience. Because actually going out there and doing it, then you're going to actually learn what you need from doing it.
I would just take a
Yeah.
guess and say that probably if you were going to go out there and hunt, if you're going to spend any money on anything, probably a good pair of boots.
So that was the thing. So good pair of boots that you break in. I think with any piece of gear, like, making sure you're using it before you go. Good pair of boots, a good pack, which I'll show off what I'm rocking here. And then, you know what? Another one that I don't hear a lot of people talk about, but I'll take it religiously, is a good puffy jacket. So I'll take a more of a lightweight down puffy jacket for early September archery elk. But later season, I like a big, synthetic, Kafaru makes the Lost Park parka. That thing is like an oven when you put it on. It's really for safety.
Right. Absolutely.
So I look at that as a safety piece more than anything else. But a puffy jacket, no matter what, because even on those early season hunts, up in the mountains, at night, it gets cold. And God forbid if you don't have a sleeping bag that's rated low enough, if you have a sleeping pad that you thought would be good enough, but it's not, in that cold ground, your last line of defense is a good puffy jacket. At least you got that, and you can at least, fall asleep at night if you get too cold. So I'd say those would be the three things. I can show off what I rock here for a pack.
Yep.
So this is Kafaru pack. This is the Ma Deuce. This is their big expedition pack. So sometimes I talk to guys and they want to know what size pack to get. So I think a good rule of thumb is a day pack is somewhere going to be in the 1,000 to 2,000 cubic range area. Beyond that, you can kind of think of it as 1,000 cubic inches per day. So if you're going for 4 or 5 days, you could probably get away with a 3,000 to 5,000 bag. And then this right here is 6,300 cubic inches. This is usually as big as they get, maybe 7,000. And then I run a couple pockets here. There's lids and other accessories you can put on too. But this will get you, if you're pushing at least 7 days and beyond, you're going to at least want to get something this big. So that's what I run. I've had hunts where it's been 10 days and I have everything in here. Because really the only difference between a 4-day hunt and a 10-day hunt is food.
Yeah.
True.
Everything else is really the same.
Right.
So and that takes a lot of volume up in here. But this is the pack that I like to run. I think having a good pack is great because not only it's only going to be really heavy, packing in, packing out. Maybe you bounce around different areas. You repack up all your gear, but also packing meat out. So I think it's really important they have a quality pack for that because the last thing you want, especially if you're packing an elk out and maybe you're it's what I was I knew that meat was good for overnight and everything, but I didn't want to keep pushing it if I didn't have to.
Right.
And God forbid if you your pack breaks. This is what you're living off of.
Yeah.
This is what gets your meat out. This is what gets. This is what you're surviving in. Everything you need to stay out there is in here.
Right.
Yeah,
So
you
it's
don't
got to
pack.
be good quality.
Got to be good quality. So this is Kafaru. I know other guys really like their Exo packs. Stone Glacier, Mystery Ranch, or other good brands. I haven't tried those, so I won't speak on those too much. But basically, how it works is, so you can fill up everything in here. What I like to do, here I'll just stand up.
Yeah, you're good.
So when you're loading a pack, I like to keep. You want some lightweight at the bottom, and then more of your heavier stuff kind of up as you go. So that way it's up higher on your back. So I usually start with a sleeping bag, and then usually my shelter on top, or kind of just filling the voids with it, and then stove, and then all my food kind of up at the top, and then anything I'm going to need real quick, like med kit. Med kit's always up top.
Yeah.
And then maybe I'll run I'll fill in the rest with clothes that I'll push down. Food kind of goes in the side here. Optics I like to run on the side. Maybe I'll put my spotter here, tripod on this side, and then fill the rest with food. And then any kind of little stuff like my quick archery repair kit, toiletries and stuff kind of go in these bags here. So that's what I like to run. And then when you're packing out an animal, I have this bag, and then I have a smaller bag for whitetail hunting. That's the Striker XL. And then, but essentially it's in the meat shelf here. So you can, this does kind of extend out, and then this top comes off, and then basically you're just strapping the meat. Let me see if I
In
can
that void
pull
there.
this off. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. So it's basically like in here, and then what I'll do is I'll pack like extra straps here, or I can even get by just using one of these, and then I'll just strap the meat onto here. So
Gotcha.
that's kind of the overview of a Western hunting pack. If you ever want to go backpack hunting,
So without the meat on there, just everything that you carry, have you weighed that to see what it weighs?
I've done it for a late season rifle hunt. I was around 70 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
That was with my weapon, but not with water. Water's pretty heavy.
Oh, yeah.
8 pounds per gallon.
Yeah, so that last spot I was in Colorado on my elk hunt, I had to pack in water. There was no water up there. I think I then dropped my optics, and I had to – and then I had all my food at that time. You can see, like, I kind of bounced around there. But I've had other hunts that 2023 we hunted mule deer, packed straight in for 10 days. And then but, like, my point is, like, try your best to look at maps. Sometimes – usually if there's a large creek there, like a solid blue line on Onyx, most of the time, you know, that's going to be a good water source. So you might not have to pack in your water. I always pack in a Nalgene just for my hike in. But, I mean, but there's times, you know, hunting the high country, like when I was up there chasing elk, I mean, there was no water. So
Right, so I was going to ask you, because there was a point in time in the hunt
mm-hmm.
where you were down to 8 ounces of water.
Yeah.
I'm sure that wasn't intentional.
No. So Onyx.
Because you were pretty far away from
Yeah.
everywhere at that point. And that's that's a pretty scary thought to think that 8 ounces, I mean, that's not a lot of water.
No.
That's half of, like, these water bottles we see that we carry around every day. That's half of one of those.
There's a lot of experiences I've had in the mountains where I've never really felt like in day to day. Like, you know, maybe sometimes you are hungry or thirsty, but like even then, like, yeah, it's and you're hiking around all that time and like running around the whole time too. Like, you probably should be like gallon and a half a day.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't have much at that point. I spent up 2 days up there. And I hadn't packed in water outside of just a little Nalgene bottle, and that lasted me just a couple days. And then, like, it sucks, dude. Like, no coffee in the morning, like, no nothing. And
Well,
then, like, your
sorry.
dehydrated meals, that's your water too. So water
Oh,
goes
yeah.
quick, and then when you're just killing yourself up there, you can get a little uncomfortable.
Yeah. Well, I think you mentioned you had some Celsius packets or something. You had some energy packets. When you were getting that elk off it.
I think definitely that one morning, I probably use that instead of coffee, because if I don't have any caffeine in the morning, I'm not happy. But I was dry scooping those on my pack out. Yeah.
Looked like LeBron when he does the powder in
Yeah.
the air. But
Yeah.
you're coughing. It's the
I was
a
just
quick
like,
delivery.
whatever. I was just emptying the tank.
Yeah.
Caffeine, whatever it took.
Now, did you have like a life straw, or what did you use? Any filtration, or what did you have?
Yep. So I've tried like a bunch of different systems over the years, and like this is great stuff you can do. Like if you're from back east, like go backpacking for like the weekend, and then just try different like water filtration systems. So I've had like squeeze filters. You got to be careful with those. Sometimes they freeze. I've had okay luck with some, not good luck with any of them. When they quit on you day 5 of a 10-day hunt, like, really sucks. And then, like, luckily, like, if you're by yourself, like, just like this naked feeling when like you're just like, shit.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have water. Like,
Yeah.
Necessities,
I'm 4
you've got
miles
to be
from the
prepared
truck.
for that.
Yeah, like, yeah. So it's just a lot of things like that. But the system I like to do now is, here's what I bring. So in this pack, and I keep it right here on my hip. And this was something Aaron Snyder was doing for a while. So I took head of his advice, and it's been good. So in this pocket here, I'll do a SteriPen. So it's that UV light stick that you just put your Nalgene, scoop the water in, you stir that stick in there, and that UV light basically, I don't know if it's not like killing bacteria, but what it's doing is like pulling all the DNA of everything. So it basically kills everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's not
Right.
really like filtering it out per se, but it's, you know, it's ripping apart all the DNA, I guess.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, UV is great for.
Yeah.
Like I have that on my whole house filtration system.
Yeah,
There's a
same deal.
UV light on
same
there.
idea.
Yeah.
And then I'll keep MSR Aqua Tabs, which is just these little pills. If I want to fill up like my big dromedary bag that I'll carry, and that's 6 liters, Usually what I'll do is I'll pack that in empty, and then when I get to where I want to set up, if I have a nice little creek, I'll fill all that up and then drop 2 tabs in there. You got to wait, 30 minutes or whatever it is. But usually at that point, I'm okay to just wait for that water to do its thing.
Yeah.
And then actually what I started doing too, because the SteriPen's great, but it also is just something that runs on batteries, and anything with electronics, I get a little nervous about. Mm-hmm. So I have also, then I'll throw in too. So it's kind of like 3 things, but those MSR Aqua tabs are literally pills. That's no weight to me. So I just ended up throwing in 2. It's the Catadine Be Free. It's the best filter squeeze system I found. As long as you kind of keep that clean, you can kind of shake it up. It cleans out the filter, and you get a decent flow. And actually, I like bringing that too because if I have a stagnant pond of water, and then just scooping that and doing the SteriPen.
Yeah, it still looks like you got some backwash in there.
A little bit gross. That's nice when it's a little creek and things are flowing.
You're getting some extra stuff in there if you're scooping
So when I have that
water.
stagnant water, I have my Be Free squeeze, and then I'm actually filtering all that out. And then that way I also have, I got a backup, and then I'm covered.
A little more, you're a little more comfortable with drinking it than at that point.
Yeah, that's one of those things that people have to really think about going on a hunt like that. You're not here hunting a whitetail, not in your backyard. I mean, just go home if you're thirsty. But there, it's a whole different story. You've got to be prepared.
Yeah. Yep. You got to do your chores.
Right.
Every day, you got to get water. Mm-hmm. You got to make sure camp's good, and because really what I look at is gear. Gear is allows you to maximize your hunting time. And even though you're out there if you want to be out there for 7, 8, 9, 10 days, it goes like that. And if you're spending most of your day screwing with your water filter, or trust me, hiking around all day, and you have a busted, ask me how I know, you have a water filter that doesn't want to work right, and man, I really should fill up that 6-liter dromedary bag for water tonight with dinner. I'm already dehydrated. In the morning when I wake up, I'm going to want coffee and breakfast, and then a little bit of water to get me going. If I glass something, got to go after it. But you're already exhausted, so in that filter's not working right. It's going to take you an hour to get all your water with that, and you want to have a dialed system. That's why I like carrying that SteriPen right here, because say if we're going and I need water, I don't have to take that pack off.
Right.
I'm just scooping with that bottle, using that SteriPen, and going. That only takes 90 seconds or something.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And
that's
so
pretty cool.
I'm all about
look into those.
fast.
Yeah.
And who makes the SteriPen? Is that Sawyer?
I think that's also a Catadine product.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they make a couple different ones. The one I have is the classic. It runs on battery, double A's. If I learned this lesson too, if you're gonna get them because you're out there in the cold, batteries or whatever, spend the money. Try to get the lithiums if you can find them. You're gonna want the lithiums. They just seem to hold up better in the cold.
Yeah.
But then they sell other ones that run off a USB charger. So if you got your power bank out there, you can charge it off that. Yeah.
Okay. We'll have to get links together, and I'll plug them down on the video.
Yeah.
For this stuff that you use and recommend, that way people can jump right to it.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
So for a 7 to 10 day hunt,
mm-hmm.
food, where did you begin with that?
I like to take a deep dive into food because I just even fitness and nutrition, everything, just also a big part of my life.
Right.
So I like to have my food dialed. I like to make sure I'm bringing food that I like to eat. Because out there, I mean, you're just exhausting yourself, and you got to put those calories back in. I don't think you can ever really replace all the calories you're burning. I pack, I'm not a huge dude, but I'll pack 3,500, 3,600 calories for that elk hunt, and
that's per day, right?
Per day,
correct.
And I still lost weight, multiple pounds over those 2 weeks, and then what I try to do is I try to keep it clean. I don't bring a bunch of just junk that just, for me personally, I just feel better when I'm sticking to jerky and some protein bars, try to get enough protein in. And then you want to keep it lightweight. So fats are more dense in calories than carbs and protein. So I like to throw a lot of fats in there as well, like nuts and things like that. And I posted a little reel before I went, breaking down all my food, but that's something that's going to be coming on my YouTube channel.
Cool.
A lot of content like that. Yeah. Full macro breakdown, but
sweet.
Yeah.
Good deal.
Yeah, it's interesting how, myself, I tried to get healthier from last year to this year, and I changed what I carry with me. I mean, I changed what I eat. I lost 80 6 pounds, I think, almost in a year.
Yeah.
Put a few back on, but this
You're
past hunting season,
looking good.
yeah, thank you, appreciate it. But this past hunting season, I didn't carry any of the stuff that I used to, you know. And then I look back on it, I'm like, I used to eat just a pile of shit, like literally, like you know, you go and grab a whole freaking box of them brownies and shit, and you take them,
Yeah.
you know, figure you eat one a day, or you know, even a lot of these things that you think are granola bars, but they're probably worse than a candy bar for you.
Yeah.
I'm a
you
wacko
know,
about
you just
reading
don't think-
nutrition labels, and he's
Yep.
so fast to just like grab a granola bar box from the store, and I'm in there like comparing them all, and I'm like, I'll spend 10, 15 minutes trying to figure out what's like, none of them
Yeah.
are like really, really great, but like I'll find the best one out of that aisle, but I'm
Yeah.
like a
Yeah.
nut about
Yeah,
what's
and I
actually
think-
in these things.
And I
Yeah.
think you would have to be going on a Western hunt, because obviously, you know, sitting in a whitetail stand and eating that shit for a day, it's not going to hurt you.
No,
Big
no,
deal. You're
totally
going back
cool.
to camp anyhow.
Yeah.
But if you're 7 to 10 days out in the wilderness and you're eating nothing but shit, like you're just not going to feel good.
No,
Right.
you're not. And I definitely do throw in things with like you know, it's not the couple grams of sugar that you eat a day. It's like just the tons and tons of it that like will, you know, catches up with you. So, but these kind of hunts, like I do want to make sure I'm getting like some good carbohydrates and some sugars just to keep me going. So carbs are going to fuel the muscles for the next day. Protein's going to recover the muscles from the day, and those fats are going to be a lot of the dense amount of calories. It's also going to help you keep moving. So a good balance of all of those.
Plus
for sure.
warmth. It has to do with warmth. Your
Yeah,
body
dude.
warmth.
And like I swear, I think when you're out there and it's like I've done some late season rifle hunts and it's cold, just your body staying warm even at night, even if you're like pretty warm in that sleeping bag, I think your body's burning just a lot to stay warm. And I think you're just constantly burning all the time. So it's important to make sure to get all that food back in, and it's gonna keep you going.
So, following the fitness realm and the health, what would be like a day in the life of Weston?
Okay.
Let's do a day in the life.
Day
Wake
in the
up.
life. Yeah. It's a little different right now with this freaking ankle.
Yeah.
But we'll be back to running soon. What I like to do, I like to share it on my story too, because I like to say I train hard, and I like to, I'll show it. Like,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not just gonna say that.
Yeah, you're
So
just preparing for
Yeah.
those hunts.
that's all.
Absolutely.
That's it. And also too, it's cool to get a message being like, hey man, I didn't want to work out today. Saw you working out on your story. I went and worked out.
Yeah.
Like that's worth it all to
Absolutely.
me. But anyway, I like to get up early. I like to go hit the gym first thing in the morning. Usually, go to work. I just got a regular job just like everybody else. Come home. Usually that's when I like to get my miles in. I just like getting some sun, and that's why I like running in the afternoon. And then really spending the evenings, like I try not to. I don't know. Like I've just been so focused the last couple of years on these things I want to do. I just find myself in the evenings, like if I do want to sit around and watch TV, like I gotta give myself like some things to knock out first. So just constantly like preparing for the next hunt. I'm on go hunt. I do like to read a lot of things involving hunting, but a lot of the personal development kind of books I'm a fan of. Somebody asked me if I had a Goodreads account. I was like, I don't even know what that is, but like it's basically like an account you can make. You can put in all the books you've read and like review it. I'm like, oh, that's kind of neat. So
Yeah.
I have that on my Instagram bio.
Okay.
All like the books I'm going through and stuff. So that kind of shows what I like and what I'm into. So
I have the
do like to read.
Cam Haynes and Door book. I'm not the whole way through it yet,
Okay, cool.
but just
Yeah.
started it.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I like the Backcountry Bowhunter book, his
Mm.
older one.
Okay.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite books.
Check that out.
Yeah.
Huh.
But no, I mean that's a lot of it, and then just try to shoot the bow too as much as I can. Right now with this ankle, I've just kind of like, just like what can I do anything? So I just set up like a target in my basement, and I was down there, crutched my way down there and was just doing reps. I mean I shoot that hinge, and like biggest thing I found like getting more accurate with that hinge is, I mean if you're just working that hinge and getting all that, and you're consistently doing the same thing every time. I mean, a lot of the other stuff is important too, but I just found if I'm just like automatic with that hinge, like that's when I'm shooting my best. So just getting reps with that hinge, even if it's at 5 yards. I mean, I don't, whatever. I'll even close my eyes and just try to.
Almost
You
like
know, work
blind
the
bail
hinge.
shooting, they call
Basically,
it.
Yeah,
yeah.
that's the best way. But so
Yeah.
do you have any type of workouts where you would get your heart rate up, you're moving, and then while that's happening, you pick your bow up and shoot. To simulate you're 12,000 feet up, you're running and gunning, you get in and boom, there's the shot. And you're just puffing and, just heavy breathing, like to get yourself set for that shot, especially if it's 60, 70, 80-yard shot. Now, I think yours was, what, around 60?
I shot that cow at 69 yards.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a hell of a poke.
Yeah.
When you're that high up and you're just like, not sitting there waiting for it to walk to you.
Yeah.
So do you have anything that you would prepare? You'd say would help you prepare for that?
So I've done that a little bit in the aspect of like and this is also a lot of the training I like to do too. Is I'll get this pack. I'll put a 50-pound bag of Quickcrete or whatever strapped on the back there, and just get out and hike. So I've done that kind of scenarios with a heavy pack on, like just hiking around and picking the bow up and shooting. I think that's a great way to simulate that. Other than that, though, like I will just shoot a lot of 3D, but I've done those scenarios to kind of practice that heart rate a little bit.
What do you
I
think
think it's good.
for somebody that's training to go out west? Like, what do you think is the most important thing to focus on?
Yeah, I think really just focusing on like don't make it complicated. Like when you go out there, I don't know if you're gonna kill an elk or kill a mule deer, but I can guarantee you this: you're gonna be hiking, and you're gonna be having a heavy backpack on. And that's where I'd start.
You're going to be out of your comfort zone.
You're going to be out of your comfort zone,
and
you're going to be doing some hard things.
Yeah.
And you're going to be spending nights out in the tent. So if so I put that video out, my mule deer film Fear.
Mm-hmm.
It's been getting a little bit of reach. I had a guy message me from Mississippi. Said, hey man, just wanted to reach out. I'm going on my first Idaho mule deer hunt this fall. I had some questions wanted to run some things by you. I was like, dude, like this is awesome. I gave the dude my phone number.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, you call me anytime. Talked to me on the phone the other night, and he's asking questions like that, like what gear and everything. And I'm like, dude, just think about what you're gonna be doing on the hunt, and do that, and do a lot of it. Practice. Well, he's doing a rifle hunt, but if you're shooting your bow, shoot your bow. Shoot your rifle a lot. Hike a lot. Spend nights out in the tent. Get comfortable being outside. Because he asked me too. He's like, what's it like, when the snow rolls in your tent? And I was like, well, here's my advice. Go do that before you go. Because you'll be a lot more comfortable in it.
That's what I need to
you're
do.
Out there.
Because somebody living in Mississippi, like I lived in the South, I'm not used to this winter here in Pennsylvania is the most winter I've endured in 10 years.
Yeah.
Dude, it's going to be,
like,
listen, so next week's the perfect chance for you to sleep
I'll
in
go
your yard.
sleep out in that
It's
tent.
going to be like -7 Wednesday.
It's not like, people could laugh at it or whatever you want, but it's like, to me, it's like, do the thing.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
if you want to get good at a thing, do the thing. But really, as far as training it and body ready, I think it's really important. I don't think you need to run marathons or anything like that.
Mhm.
I do think increasing your VO2 max in ways like, rucking, that's what you're going to be doing, heavy backpack. Getting out, trying to get that heart rate up. Like I think even if you're not really a runner, trying to do like some like jog runs or like a walk run to where you're getting your heart rate up, back down, up, back down. You can get on a bike at the gym and do that. That's all going to help increase your VO2 max. I think that really helps, especially with altitude, because it doesn't do well with a lot of people.
That's with my running. That's what I've been doing and I kind of fell off, but I need to get back into it. But getting my heart rate up and then that recovery, and like I've been watching with my watch, like how long would it take me to recover? And then like once it got easy, then I would change like the amount of time I was running, or like trying to adapt it to keep pushing my heart rate to like what my recovery is, how high can I get it? Because that is when you're hiking, it's gonna shoot up when you're hiking, and then you're gonna have a second to like breathe for it. It's going to be back and forth.
And if you keep doing that and keep tracking it, you will see it improve.
Yeah.
It's really neat. But as far as like a real practical way for the listener, like, should you run? Should you lift? Like what should you do? I would say, do it all. Do that cardio, increase your VO2 max. Do some strength training. You do want to get your legs strong. Like it's no joke. If you want to go out west and stay in town, drive around your truck, glass, that's cool too. Like if that makes you happy, like I'm not saying my way is the only way, but if you want to backpack hunt, it's gonna take a little bit of a toll on the body. So try to get in some zone 2, some just longer endurance where you're just sitting on the bike going, light jog, rucking. That's great, zone 2. I'd say do that once a week. Do something else that gets your heart rate spiked up, like we said, like that interval, like walk, run, get on the bike, go hard, slow her down, get a good sweat, get that heart rate up. And then another day of strength training. And that could be, I'd obviously focus on the legs, but if you want to do like a full body strength training day, that's all great too. Because, I mean, if you look at the bigger picture, this is all just great for your health.
Yeah, just making you better
Yeah.
overall.
That's a great way.
Right.
And if you haven't worked out in a while and, you want to use back into it, I wouldn't, don't dive in for every single day trying to kill yourself. Like, start with small bites. I think 3 days a week, those 3 things right there, that's going to put you ahead. And don't be afraid to get the pack on and go hike around a little bit, because that's what you'll be doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things that I'd like to touch on is the nighttime aspect of the hunt. So you hunted all day, you're tired, you pretty much worked hard climbing those hills, those mountains, and now it's time to just relax and sleep. A few things. One question I'd have is, how easy is it to sleep, for more than one reason, but how easy is it to get sleep at night, just being uncomfortable because you're not at home in your bed.
Yeah.
You're out in the middle of nowhere. And second, the second part of that is, how easy is it to get sleep knowing that, the unknown of, I'm sure that there's got to be things that can happen out there that, you have to be prepared for.
Yeah. So I would say getting more comfortable out there at night is a skill like anything else. I remember really,
especially we're talking by yourself. This is, you got a buddy with you.
Like,
you're
right. Yeah.
You are
was
literally 7 miles from your truck in
Yeah.
the middle of nowhere by yourself.
Yes.
So that's what I want to kind of
paint
portray
the picture,
to people.
for sure.
Paint this picture.
I would say really, but it's something that I worked up to. I look at a lot of things in life as just a skill, and to get better at something, you just need to keep doing it over and over and over, and keep trying to push the envelope of it. So, for example, we talked about how it kind of got started and what I started to listen to and learn about Western hunting. Like, I can remember those days back in 2019. I'm getting ready for go on my first elk hunt, and I'm listening to Aaron Snyder on Kafaru Cast, and I don't know, man. I just felt like this is my calling. Like, this is my passion. This is what I love to do. But I was actually living out near Philly at the time, and I'm just constantly like, what can I do? Like, can I do anything? And I look back and I would just go hiking for a day all by myself. I go somewhere cool and just go hike, and then that turned into well, what if I went down to Shenandoah National Park and did a weekend just hiking and putting up a tent by myself, and and then eventually I'd go other places, just like Maryland and State Forest. I'd scout for deer and then just sleep in a tent by myself. And then there's a lot of insecurities you have to get over with that, because I'll tell you right now, there's a lot of people that said, dude, that's weird. Why are you going by yourself? Or what are you doing? And I'm like, and at the time I'm just I don't know, dude, just leave me alone. But deep down, I had this vision of no, I want to be able to have the skill and the mental toughness to go out there for 10 days and hunt elk in Colorado. Yeah. But if you say that without providing any evidence that you can do that, everybody's going to think
there's people who are
you're
scared
an
to
idiot.
walk to their tree stand in the dark.
I
Let
know.
alone spend 10
Literally.
days in
Me.
the middle
And,
of nowhere.
and I brought up those stories because I'd say that first night I was really, I grew up doing outdoorsy stuff, family
Right.
camping and hunting and all the time and stuff. But I don't know, dude. I think there's a lot of people that want to go out west, and I'm like, have you spent a night in a tent by yourself? Or just I don't know, when's the last time you were out in a tent, camping when it's cold and things like that? So I tell that story because I remember that weekend I was I'm going to go down and I'm going to scout this piece in Maryland and sleep in a tent down there. And they got a good bit of black bears down there and stuff. And dude, I was more scared then than any other night I've spent in the woods, even since to this day, because that was just the first time. I knew there was just something. I remember it I don't think it didn't rain real bad, but there was a bunch of wind, and I'm I don't know, but you're then you get through it, and you're okay, I made it through that, and then I remember doing some more trips. I've gone up to the Adirondacks a couple times, and it's beautiful up there. Just to backpack, run the same gear, break in the boots, and then just by myself in the tent. That's when I kind of picked up the photography a little bit. I was get into that while I'm doing all these, and it's just a skill like anything else. And now when I'm out in Idaho, I'm a little bit more comfortable to be like, if I'm hearing like coyotes out around me or hearing stuff, and I'm just like, dude, I'm just freaking tired. Like, I just want to go to bed. But that's a skill, like anything else. But there were still a lot of challenges that I had with the mental out there. Like, it's not cool. It's not as cool as I thought. Being by yourself that long. There's a lot of, I think it's a skill. Like, going to continue to get better at it. But when you don't, I had a couple spots where I had cell service, so that was nice. But multiple days of no cell service, and like, it's freaking quiet, dude. And hunting late season mule deer, your actions kind of only in the morning and the evening, and those days are long. And yeah, it's like, it's a little bit creepy.
It's mental toughness.
It's mental, and it's like, yeah, you're looking at your watch and you're like, all right, I'm in my evening glassing spot, and it's 1:00 in the afternoon, and like, there's nothing, dude.
You got
like,
no one to
there's
talk
nothing
to.
to
You
do.
got nothing
Nothing.
to do. Yeah.
That's when I enjoyed having the camera. But,
yeah, your camera's like your Wilson and
dude,
Castaway.
You ever see that show Alone?
I was just going to bring that up.
Well, that's
Dude,
like my favorite
We
show.
love.
Yeah, we
that
love watching
show
that.
is
It's my
awesome.
favorite show. So it was kind of fun.
But it's
to
amazing the
play
guys
that.
that go on there, they're like ex-Marines or whatever, like, oh, I could do this, and then they're gone in a day or two. They can't take it.
Yeah. Well, not to get too deep, but like, if you ever have something that's kind of like been bothering you, like in your life, maybe deep down, you know, like talk about, that's the shit that kind of comes up a little bit. And yeah, there's a lot of talks with yourself and everything. But anyway, my advice to the listener, it's like, you know, if that's what you want to do, these backpack hunts or whatever, maybe not by yourself. If you want to just go with guys or whatever, just get comfortable doing all that stuff, because it's a skill, and understand that there is risk. I'm not out there being like, nothing's going to happen. Like, no, something could happen.
Well,
I think the people that say like, no, like, they're full of shit, and I think they're
Well,
probably scared.
the importance of having the emergency kit with you that you talked
Yep.
about. You know, what do you pack in that? Because here again, you're by yourself. You fall and break your leg, God forbid.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like there's somebody there to help drag you out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you've got to figure this shit out now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so
Yeah.
you know what you know, just like with the food, what do you know? Okay, what am I putting in my pack?
Yep. So this is this is shit I take really seriously. Like, I feel like a lot of guys just want that grip and grin of that elk. They don't care about anything else like we're talking about.
And that's
everything.
the smallest part of the whole
And I'm
thing.
telling you, I mean, that's the smallest part. And like, if you're not dialed in on first aid,
Yes.
like what we're about to talk about, something, you know, you could really go up shit creek. Like, so like skinning an animal, cutting yourself, all that
right.
stuff. So what I like to do is, I've done like, there's a survival school in Pittsburgh that's like really good.
Oh.
Yeah, I did a land nav, whole like day course with them. That was a really good school.
No
Another
kidding.
good,
Cool.
yeah,
Yeah,
another,
we'll have to put the link up on that, because that'd be pretty cool.
North, God, the name it's escaping me. Really great guys, ex-military. North Camp Survival. We'll after.
Yeah.
We'll put it up.
Yeah.
Great, fantastic. I went there 2 years ago. Did a class for land nav. Something else. Another great skill to have. But I knew, like, you know, these are the things I want to know, because I want to, you know.
You know, it's
be this
amazing
guy.
how many people
So-
nowadays couldn't read a compass.
I know.
A regular compass. I'm not
Yeah.
talking about one on your phone. Just
Yeah.
grabbing a regular
Yeah.
compass.
And you know, electronics, things break, like
Yeah.
phone dies, all that stuff. But anyway, so they have for wilderness first aid too. They had it like, it was like in November. I'm like, oh, it's hunting season.
Yeah.
Right.
Worst
So
time.
I gotta find, you know, I'm gonna sign up for that. But what I like to do is, like, I'll dive into books. Steve Ranella has a great like survival book. There's chapters and chapters in there about medical first aid. I make sure I have all that. I just run through all my gear. Like, I mean, my mom's not like, she's a physical therapist or whatever, but she's a mom. She knows how to
Yeah.
like, do
Right.
stuff. So like, I run through everything with her, and then I even found like a YouTube lecture series of like, I think it was like California Fish and Game or something, had like a whole YouTube series of like wilderness first aid. So I'm like, every night,
Yeah.
like, this is that thing. Like, I have a list of like, give myself a couple things every night of like, that gets me to where I want to go. Every night, it'd be like, okay, we're going to bang out a 20-minute video, take some notes, and then that's it. So I work through that. Like,
Yeah, I know Aaron Snyder had a guest on. It wasn't too far back, and he owned an outdoors, like a first aid company, like a first aid kit
Uncharted
company.
Supply?
Maybe.
could have
I think
been.
it's Uncharted.
They make some cool stuff. I bought gosh, it's escaping me. Not at. Well, I did actually buy their tourniquet, but then another just like wrap too. Say if like you're not really bleeding out, but like you're just packing
Tore
like
your
something with
bicep or
gauze.
something.
Yeah, and it's like a good
No,
because like
seriously,
think
you
Yeah,
never know.
but-
yeah, because I had this this other like bandage stuff that you would have had to clip on, and like it kind of like was a pain, and I'm like, and I was looking at that thing, I'm like, if I'm in a lot of pain, like that's gonna be a pain to like do all that. So they have this other wrap, I forget what it's called, but then I bought like their cat tourniquet too, and then made sure I was like comfortable with that. But yeah, all that stuff, man.
Yeah, I think
It's
they
all good
sell
stuff.
like kits.
Yes,
And
they
it's
do.
a size.
Yeah.
It's sized depending on your need,
Yep.
or if you're going on a 3-day versus a 10-day. Like it's
Right.
sized for that
Yep.
too.
I put together my own like little kit of everything I need, and then I picked up a couple other those little stuff from Uncharted, and then every time Garmin InReach.
I think that's
phone.
probably one of the,
Yeah.
especially even just like with guys like us just hunting the local, like when we head out to Ohio at least. I always have a first aid kit in my truck, always, and I think maybe sometimes people overlook that, the importance of having
Yeah,
a first aid kit when you're hunting.
yeah.
I mean, it's huge.
Well, look, when
Yeah.
you were gutting your deer with your Montana knife, he looks at me and goes, "Dude, I've never been so scared gutting a deer out in my life before."
Those things are super.
Oh, because they're so sharp.
I mean, if you
Yeah.
can get cut looking at a Montana,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
no, seriously,
Yeah.
and,
It's-
so you just have to be careful. And you never, and when you take something like that, a sharp knife like that, you can cut yourself and not realize it for a little bit.
Yeah.
that you've actually cut
yeah,
yourself.
and like really put yourself there. Like I'll tell you, I'm by myself in this big drainage at 12,000 feet. I killed this cow that is bigger than a horse. And I'm just by myself doing the gutless method. I picked up 1/4 of all the meat still on the bone, barely could get it off the ground. I was like, I gotta debone this
Right.
this bitch.
Yeah.
So I then getting back on the ground. Then that knife's working all through that, all deboning everything. Like you're talking hours and hours
Right.
and hours, changing out Havalon knives that are sharp as hell, and like tired, dehydrated, hungry, like on cloud 9. But I'm also like I feel like shit, like. And how
Your
it could be so
focus can
easy
slip
to like
so
just
easy.
cut your arm. Yeah,
Yeah.
so you got it. Like I don't know, man. I like saying you gotta have your shit tight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think
And-
moving
yeah.
forward with the content you do, that's probably stuff that you can add in, like that type of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, because I don't think it's things people really think about. I
No.
think everybody
No.
wants that hero shot.
Yeah,
I mean, not saying everyone. I shouldn't say that, but I we all
Most
want
guys.
that eventually.
I do. Yeah,
I mean,
Yeah.
we all do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that more has to be spent thinking about the journey,
yes,
not the end result,
Yeah.
because you can really sell yourself short and screw yourself up if you don't think about that.
yeah. I think what I have, at least in my advantage of hopefully becoming the bow hunter I want to be, is I love like being in the mountains. I love looking at maps and land nav. I love being like, okay, I gotta go through my first aid kit. Like I love. Dude, I have so many pictures of just like the scene of like my pack in Hilleberg tent with like a backdrop. I just think it's the most beautiful
Yep.
thing like ever. And yeah, I just love all parts of it. The woodsmanship, the archery part of it. There's so many facets. Yeah, and I love every part of it. And then it's like I think that's the key if you ever want like that grip and grin.
Yeah.
Well, you
So-
have to, especially with what you're doing it solo. If you don't love it, it's not going to last
No,
very
no.
long.
Well, even with
It's
you,
like anything.
you starting this year, I mean, and realizing like you don't even. She makes fun of me. She's like, I don't know. She's like, I don't even look at my phone, and you're sitting there sometimes looking on your.
I'm
phone.
like so focused and into it. And I like look over. He's on the other side of the tree, like swinging around and on his phone. And he's like, I'm super into sports. And he's like, all right, did you check the score? And I'm like, I will not. Like, I have to be in this moment the entire time doing
I have
it.
to
I
get
won't
away
look
from
away.
that. 'Cause
Yeah,
I've gotten to that point, like, and I need to. I've realized this year, like, thankfully to her, getting her in a new hunter, and her realizing the zen that you kind of get in when you're in the woods and nothing else to
Oh,
worry about.
yeah.
And that's like the couple times that I've gone without him, like
Yeah.
love you to death, but I'm like going like anything that's been on my mind or that I've been stressed about. It's just so nice to like sit there and it's just you and your thoughts. So you work through
See,
all of
you
it.
get that from me because when I go hunting, I get into what I call my nothing box. That's where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else, whether it's the archery shop, whether it's something that happened at work, whether it's just, anything in general, I'm not thinking about it. I've said it because there's been times I've been out with him and with Mike, who's on our lease, and these guys might have a cell phone conversation that's this long that included me, and I never replied. And it's not that I was being ignorant. It's
Yeah.
just that I'm not pulling my phone out.
Yeah.
I want to go. I'm out here.
Yeah.
This is my hunt. It's not.
Yeah. I had a day.
I'm not having that conversation. I just saw 2 deer. I just saw 3 deer. I had seen. I mean, eventually I'll
Right,
pick it up
right.
and I'll
But you're
look and
having
I'm like,
these,
and then I'll reply. But it's about just that. I enjoy just being in that moment.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah, I had a day that it was like I had one of the worst weeks at work and I was just like so over it. And I was like, you know what? It's my day off. He's at work. I'm going to go and I'm just going to go we have a little bit of property behind the house. I'm just going to go in and hunt and who knows. Spent like 4 hours, came out and I was just like refreshed and like
Yeah.
nothing could ruin my
It's
day
good
at that
for you.
point.
It's
Dude,
so good
it's so
for
good
you
for
to
you.
do that.
And I think it is real when people talk about like, it's spiritual for them.
Absolutely.
And I have a lot of those moments of presence out there. And I have times that like I'll just think about, forever. And I think it's great that sometimes I look up and I'm like, I feel very lucky that, we have this like outlet of hunting and like connecting to nature. And I feel like in today's world that's so fast and keeping everybody busy with work and like a lot of these things that drive us crazy with stress that don't really mean that much.
Right.
To have some sort of like something you can pursue that's meaningful and
Right.
is like a little bit of an outlet and fulfills your spirit. Not to get too hippie, but
No,
these
you're
are-
good.
these are the
No,
things that I like to think
absolutely.
about, and I think I feel grateful that I've found that. I feel like
Well, it's
yeah.
like you've said in your hunts more than once. You focus on what you can control, and you don't focus on the things you can't. And I agree with you. That's something you got to do in life all the time. Like I'm not saying I make the best decisions because a lot of times I don't, but I don't dwell on them. If it is what it is, if I screwed something up, okay,
Yeah.
get over it.
Yep.
I'm not going to let it hold me down or hold me back. I'm just going to you got to learn from it, Hell, I've done it many times with my archery shop, and that's why I say I have a clearance table,
Yeah.
That's where your mistakes end up.
Yeah.
But you just got to get out and just move forward with it. And,
Yeah.
and the spiritual part's cool, and I think that everyone, especially if you're a hunter or outdoorsman, you need to put yourself in a situation on a hunt where you experience that if you haven't yet. And you might not get that off of your backyard whitetail hunt where you can hear somebody cutting the lawn or something like that. But like for me, it was going to northern Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
I was on a black bear hunt up there. I killed a nice bear. But setting there, in northern Saskatchewan, phones don't work. So all you have is a satellite phone.
Mm-hmm.
You are a good, now granted it was a guided hunt, but they drop you off and you're good 12 to 15 miles back in the timber by yourself.
Yep.
It's so quiet you can hear your heartbeat. You can hear yourself breathe.
Yeah.
And you've got nothing to do but sit there and just stare out into up there. It was pretty thick pine timber.
Yeah.
And you just hear nature but that's where you like really do some soul searching.
Yeah.
It's just crazy to be in that situation. And like you said, you start thinking about shit that you just
I know.
would never.
No.
But that's, I don't know. And then after that, that's why I said I would just kind of call it my nothing box where I just sit there.
Yeah, it's a good term.
And I just,
Yeah.
I don't care. Not once whenever I was staring at the northern lights or when I was staring out onto the lake or just sitting at camp did I worry about, does my car payment due or this, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's just a whole.
Well,
Everyone needs to experience.
That's what
that.
I
Absolutely.
enjoy is like something that I really love is football, and I'll sit there and watch those games, but I'm very quick to grab my phone and start
Yeah.
scrolling, and he'll call me out. He's like, "You're not even watching the game right now. Like, what are you doing?" I'm like, "Yeah, I am," and I put it back down, and like 10 minutes later, I pick it back up, but then I'm in the woods, and I like would never even dare dig that phone out of my pocket. Like and the outdoors is like it just lends so many cool experiences. Like probably one of the coolest things that I have experienced so far is we went camping in Benazet, and his family's been camping there forever. They like hyped me up that like, oh, there's elk all over where we camp at. Like they'll be everywhere. And we get there and we spend the whole first day. And I'm sitting there glad. I'm like, where are the elk? Where are they?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
And I got so frustrated. I'm like, you know what? We're going to find them. Like there are trails. We're going to go find these elk because I can't just sit here and wonder where they're at. And we did. We went and hiked a couple miles and we found some sign and found a spot that we thought that they would probably eventually come out at. And sure enough, right before the sun went down, like 20 feet from us, this whole herd comes out. We end up with like 3 bulls. It was the coolest
That's
2
awesome.
hours of my life.
Yeah.
And that's probably like one of my highlights. And it was the outdoors that like, it's not a game that we went to or something that I saw in it. Like
it's stuff you're going to see you won't see anywhere else.
yeah, it was incredible.
Yeah.
So, and that's like really after that was when I was like, I want to start hunting because I grew up with him always hunting and I never had any interest in it whatsoever. And then that one experience, I was just like, you know what? I am going to get a bow and I am going to start doing this. So
Yeah.
it's amazing what the outdoors can do for you.
And even the one,
Absolutely.
there was a day just another day at work, and my buddy down the street, Adam, he was like, let's shoot. And I was like, okay. And I was like, come on, let's go shoot. And she was like, I was like, come on, let's go shoot the bows. And we got done shooting that evening. And she was like, thank you. She's like, it's just something simple as that, just the disconnect.
I'm very quick
From
to like
life,
beat
go
myself
out,
up and
shoot the
be
bow.
in the moment of like what's going on at work or what's like stressing me out. I'm so quick to like put myself in the everything box of just like, let me just be like upset about everything and feel bad for myself. And he thankfully is just like, who cares? Like,
It's me.
Yeah.
just get it. Like, you'll be okay. And at first, like when he would do it, I'm like, you don't understand. You're like, I want to vent and I want to feel bad about it and be in the moment about it. Like he just doesn't want to like be in that negative zone with me. And now I'm like, okay, thank you. Like I needed that
Just
like
control
check.
what you
Like,
can and just
That's it.
be positive.
That's it. Yeah. And I think having those moments like that are, I don't know, they're important. So
yeah.
yeah.
So what do you got on the horizon?
Yeah.
What's this year? What's it looking like for you?
So I just, for some reason, love finding just these ways to challenge myself. And I do have some races lined up that I'm really looking forward to. This ankle's just about ready, so gonna get some miles in, and I just signed up for a 50K in April. So that's gonna like kick me off for the year. I qualified for Boston in a road marathon last year. I got under 3 hours, but I just missed the cutoff. So what they do is like they take everybody that qualified and then they gotta cut it off at a certain point. So I qualified, but still like a minute from actually making it. So that's the goal this year, try to make sure I get to Boston. I'm running a marathon in Minnesota. It's just like a popular marathon in the marathon world out there with friends I've met just in the area from running. That's in June. And then so I've run a handful of these ultras now, and I ran 70 last year. So I got to go for 100. So I'm signed up to run. It's called Eastern States 100. It's up above like Lock Haven up there.
Okay.
So I'm signed up to run my first 100 miles. So I'm like really particular with my schedule. I was like, I got to make sure I have enough time to train, but I'm also going to be leaving, end of August for these hunts.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to make sure that I got it, there's only so many 100 miles races that go on at everywhere. So, but no, this is early August, so I have a couple weeks to recover. And then from there, I've already locked down. I already got the Idaho elk tag, so I already got that planned out. That's going to be with a buddy. What I'm going to try to do is line that up to hunt that the second half of September. First half of September, it sounds like I'm going to go for high country mule deer in Colorado. I have another guy. It sounds like because at first I thought I was going to do it solo. I think I might link up with it's the one guy I linked up to in the video.
one video.
One of those
Okay.
3 guys.
Yep.
I didn't know that guy. I met him we talked off Rockslide, and then we just kept
Oh,
in
that
touch
forum,
talking about
yeah.
mule deer. And then on my way down there is when I called him, and then that was the first time I met him. And them 2 other guys I didn't know at all. Ended up being like the most awesome
Cool.
elk
Yeah.
camp.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We were only together for a few days, and then I went and did my own thing.
It's
but-
crazy how that happens.
And now that dude, like we're doing maybe another hunt. So I think it's going to be, so first half of September, high country mule deer, 12,000 feet, Colorado. Absolutely love it. And then chase rutting elk in Idaho, second half September. Pretty much, I just have a regular job, all my
I was to
PTO.
say, is your boss good with all this?
Yeah, I did have these conversations already, and I kind of got it lined up where, like, I'm pretty much burning it all, but I can, I'll probably bring my laptop just to like keep
Yeah.
log in for a couple days between the trips just to like put out any fires. But I this is like what I've worked for. Like
Right.
I had many nights where I used to work big highway construction, and I worked through the weekends, and I was an engineer, but doing construction management. You're there working nights, working weekends, and all these things. And I had these dreams of being a mountain hunter, and I didn't have time to even hunt whitetails here.
Right.
Like, so this is
Right.
kind of like a lifestyle that I prayed for a long time. I'm definitely grateful for it. So it's a good job, and I try to work really hard throughout the year to where it's okay if Weston kind of wants to. I'm not taking more than the allotted time I
Right.
have, but just to be able to have this opportunity, I'm so grateful for it. I thank God every day.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So anyway, that's the plan. So those are the 2 hunts. It'll be a month in the mountains. It sounds like
That's
so.
awesome.
Sounds awesome.
That's the plan, and then come back. I'll go chase bear. My brother and I love doing that now. So that was that New Jersey bear hunt. We'll go bait, do that again. That was awesome. And then, of course, I got the PA whitetail tag and try to get that too. So
Heck yeah.
just so excited for all of it. Yeah.
Nice.
Busy year.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
that's
a lot of it's going to be on the YouTube too. I'm
Yeah.
going to share a lot of my journey running as well, because there's just so many.
Definitely
like
should.
we talked about here today. There's just so many draws you can do between the two, and so it'll be a lot of that.
Now, do you use anything particular, like for your out of state, to assist you with like tags and draws? Use like Go Hunt at all? Or?
Yeah, man, I use it all.
Okay.
Like, I'm obsessed. So when I first started though, I was scrolling through and trying to learn like these hunt codes and everything through the 1,000-page PDF Colorado Parks and Wildlife puts out and all that. So I've done it like the hard way, but eventually did get Go Hunt, and I'm like, man, this is awesome. So Go Hunt's really good. I do use that. Go Hunt though, it's just a guide. It's not going to do all the work for you. Like Onyx, eScouting, it just these are all just like little tools, but like they all just kind of help. They all just kind of help in their own way. Like there's no secret nugget, But anyway, yeah, I just try to use as much as I can, and so I use Go Hunt, constantly reading. I mean, even the articles and stuff they put on there is great. So yeah, I'm a big advocate of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Uh-huh.
Throw that link in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So following up with that, something we always ask everybody. You've been chasing elk, chasing mule deer, but what is your dream hunt?
Oh man.
Sky's the limit.
I feel like I haven't been asked that, and then I feel like there is one that is my dream. I got to make it happen somehow, but dude, a sheep hunt, and I want to be the highest mountain I can.
Mhm.
Like I don't know. It's got to be sheep. I don't know what it is about me. Like I love mountains and everything so much. Like
That's the challenge.
yeah,
Yeah.
it'd be awesome. Like just up high in BC somewhere, like or something. I don't know.
I had
But definitely a sheep hunt.
Good friend of mine, that's where he went, was British Columbia on a sheep hunt. And he killed a beautiful one. And that's another type of hunt that I don't think people realize the toughness of that. He laid down prone for an hour with water running down his back, and that just to kill this thing because he had to be in that position to get that shot.
Yeah, and we talk about enduring too. Like you're up there in a lot of those hunts, you get socked in for days.
Yes.
You can't do anything.
Yeah, we watch a lot of them, and most of it is just them talking about how they're stuck in the tents again that day.
Yeah. So I'm building points. I think I got 4 sheep points in Colorado. So
Okay.
I think now I can finally there's like a 3-year forbearance. Like you can build points, but you can't put any in anywhere. So like now I'm finally like putting my name into a sheep tag, and like is it gonna happen? I don't know, but you gotta pay to play. So.
That's right.
Yeah.
But it won't happen if you don't try. So.
That's it. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Got to stick your leg in and get it done.
That's awesome.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
So, for our viewers and our listeners, if they'd like to reach out to you to check out your content or just ask questions or anything, what's the best way for them to reach you?
Yep. So it's at Weston Homa on Instagram, Facebook. Started the YouTube channel that it's doing pretty well already. Just only a few videos out there. So I think any of those are good. Shoot me a DM. Like I said, I was talking to a guy from Mississippi on the phone the other day just about late season mule deer. This is just what I think about all the time, every single day, and I love it. I love sharing what I do, and if I can help people, whether it's like with the technical side of things or maybe just inspire them to finally go and make the trip. That's even more fulfillment than anything else I do. So I love, shoot me a message and love to talk hunting and whatever else. So big things coming. A lot of the YouTube, a lot of that. So
Cool.
I definitely highly recommend for our listeners or viewers,
Absolutely.
anybody, that
Absolutely.
if you were thinking about going out west on a hunt, watch your content.
Yeah,
because people are either going to say, yeah, that's cool, and which it was, but they're going to be, I feel like the content you put out, they can make that decision whether that's for them
It's
or not.
realistic.
Yeah,
It is.
it's a no frills, like it's just solid content where it's like, this is the shit you're going to go through. If you can handle this, get your tags. If you can't, you might want to just stay home.
I was happy to see a lot of the comments for the Idaho film were, this is the most realistic public land DIY hunt film I've ever seen.
Yeah, I remember you
Yeah.
shared
Yeah.
it. You screenshot it and share it, and I was like, hell yeah.
That dude wrote a big, like all these, like I couldn't believe it. Like people were like taking the time to like write out like a big thing, and I'm like, this is the nicest shit any people have ever said to me.
Right.
But no, that's been getting traction, and no, it's been good. That's just what I love to do. I found that these adventures are what I love to do. I love to chase big game. I love to like push my body in other ways, and I love telling a story. So I think I found my thing.
I would say
Well,
so.
I would definitely say, from being around the filming and that in the past, I mean, what you're doing, some good stuff. It's quality. It's awesome, and I think that if you continue on that path, you'll be successful with
Absolutely,
it for
man.
sure.
Thanks.
Hell yeah,
I'm
buddy.
excited.
It's some gripping content.
Yeah.
It's cool.
It for sure is.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, it is.
But well, hey man, we appreciate you. Being on the podcast, sharing your stories with us, sharing with our viewers and our listeners, so that they can make some educated decisions. And and one thing I didn't get to say is thanks for the wearing a Creek Archery hat.
Oh, of course.
I saw
My favorite hat.
We're gonna have to get you hooked up, but I noticed that in the content as well. So
Yeah, of
appreciate
course.
the support, brother. Thank
No,
you.
thanks for having me on. And as you can tell, people watching, I'm very passionate about all these things. I take it very seriously. Bow hunting is a huge part of my life, and I don't go anywhere else except down here at Creek, because not only do you guys provide some great service, you're just good people. You
Well,
come
we
down
appreciate
here
that,
and
man. We try to be family.
Walt and the guys are working on my bow, and you can tell them your deer story, and they're gonna listen, and it just
Stand in the back and
feel the
bullshit.
family thing. Yeah,
it
it's
is,
awesome, dude.
and I was just telling someone the other day that, with our shop, the best thing I've ever gotten is the friendships out of this shop. It's great that the business is successful and we do well. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love that. But the friends I have now, like, you just Ken, and Megan being together, the thing that all happened because of the shop. And those are the best, most important things, positive things that have come out of it. Every one of my guys that work for me downstairs were a customer that walked through that door that needed something done on their bow, who kind of just ended up never leaving.
Yeah, they just never
It
left.
became like their new home.
Like Egros.
It's great.
And,
and that's what's been cool
You
about
come
it.
in here and talk hunting, and I work with a guy. He was going to like a family friend or something. And I was like, dude, go down the creek. Tell him, tell him I said what's up. And he was down here. He said he was down here for like a couple hours just because like he was working with the guys and everybody was so nice. And even me, like, I was looking for a new hinge. Walt, like all them guys, like there was over $1,000 of hinges
That they brought down
just
for
letting
you.
me. Yeah, they're like, yeah, well, I'll bring our hinges. You can try whatever, and like, you don't get that anywhere else. And Hinge is very, you can get
That's
very
a personal
particular
thing,
with it.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
So I was like, wow, I'm getting to use all these things,
Yeah.
So
That's
just
what it's
awesome.
all about. When I started this shop in 2016, I'd been to a lot of other shops, and I, not knocking anybody, but what I felt that I didn't get a lot of times was that personal experience of like feeling like I was treated as though I wasn't just a number, and that's one thing we don't do here is I don't ever want anybody to walk in the shop and feel like he's just looking to take my money, because that's not us. I tell people all the time, I don't care where you bought your bow. You didn't have to buy it from me. We're going to help you. We're going to earn your business one way or another, and we're going to earn your friendship, and that's what it's all about.
Absolutely.
So
I like to joke around. You got to have the barbershop feel.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Like going in the barbershop.
That's a good one, because that's kind of where we're at with it.
We should get a little twirly that they have outside the door.
outside the
There you
door.
go.
But
red,
instead of
white,
saying
and blue.
barber, it should say archery or Creek Archery, but
We
still
can
have the
make
red,
that
white,
happen.
and blue.
We can definitely make that happen. Well, hey, man, good luck this season.
Thank you.
We're hoping to, see some new content from you, and hopefully you are successful and do well, and I personally feel you will. So
Yeah,
thanks
absolutely.
for being on the podcast and sharing everything with us, and we'll have to have you back after you got some new stories to tell
Sure.
us.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Love to be back.
Yeah.
Good luck to you guys, too. You guys are killing it here as well. So
Appreciate,
We appreciate
it.
that,
Yeah.
man. Thank you.
mhm.
Thank you.
Guys, I guess that's it for the night. I'm going to head home, hit my recliner.
There we go.
relax, and,
Back to
Be
old
it.
man status.
absolutely. So, well, hey,
Yep.
thanks again. Appreciate it.
Thanks,
guys.
Talk
buddy.
soon.
Yep.
See ya.
Thanks, everyone.